What's up, everyone? Happy Football Thursday. But gotta get a show in before I head back to PA. For once, we actually have news. Unlike Monday's show, there is news this week, a bunch of it actually, as we head toward UFL Week 10. We are in OTA season as well. We got teams on the field getting some work in spring practices. But yeah, let's just start out with some news. I don't really classify anything as breaking, Jimmy. Do you?
No.
Yeah, the extensions we'll talk about, but nothing right now, anyways. So, college football news. One thing to talk about: an SEC athletic director said they expect the NCAA to allow sponsor logos on fields to make up for the settlement money. And I absolutely hate this. It's stupid. You're just being greedy. Take your hit and go along. I hate it. UFL news, a bunch going on in terms of roster moves, injuries as well. So first thing, just a kind of an administrative note. The last game of the UFL regular season on Sunday this week will be for something. It is the teams with the two worst records in the league, the Roughnecks at 1-8 in Memphis against the Showboats at 1-8, and Daryl Johnston, the UFL president, I think. I can't remember his title. But he announced that that game, the winner of that game, will get the number one overall pick in the 2025 UFL draft, as well as the the first pick in every round. So does mean something. It go Showboats. Speaking of the Showboats, they are going to start Josh Love at quarterback. So his first start this season, played with Pittsburgh Maulers and the Michigan Panthers last year in the USFL. Has played a little bit this year for the Showboats, couple games, 161 yards in those, I think, 3 games he's played, just sparingly. But hopefully we'll see good showing in his first start of the season. The Stallions have a little something going on. They no longer have their defensive coordinator. John Chavis has left, no longer with the team. Had some health issues, Coach Holt said, and looks like he is not going to be with the team for the rest of the year. But they did hire Anthony Blevins to help out on the defense, and pretty good hire. He was supposed to become the Vegas Vipers head coach prior to the merger. So he's been around a little bit in college and other leagues. Also played in the original USFL, I think it was, or maybe it was XFL. I can't remember. Injuries. So IR moves. 4 guys placed on IR. Brahmas, big loss for them. Tight end Cody Latimer, done for the season, placed on IR. That's one of their top weapons there for San Antonio in that offense, led by offense coordinator AJ Smith. But yeah, I mean, he has definitely been a playmaker in the spring leagues for the last couple of years. He is third in yards for tight ends right now, 391 yards and 36 receptions there. But yeah, major loss for San Antonio as they head toward the playoffs, and especially this week. The Renegades, they will be without Javonte Payton, wide receiver Javonte Payton. They placed him on IR. So that's a pretty big loss going into DC last week of the season. The Defenders, by the way, they placed offensive lineman Lamont Gaylord on IR. I believe he broke his leg last week, carted off. And then the Battlehawks, they placed linebacker Lakeem Williams on IR. He had been a stellar player for that St. Louis defense. Big tackle numbers for him, or at least I thought he had big tackle numbers. I mean, it's pretty good, though. 29 total tackles in 7 games. So, yeah, I mean, he's a good piece to that defense, though. They've had linebacker issues a lot this year for St. Louis, so that's another one. The Stallions, they waived kicker Ramiz Ahmed. So the Stallions now have both of their starters at punter and kicker back. You know, they got Colby Wadman back at punter last week. And now this week they put Chris Blewett on the active roster. So he will be back as the Stallions kicker. And it's a big upgrade because when you look at Blewett versus Ahmed, obviously Blewett only played 3 games before he got injured, but 8 out of 9, 88.9%. Ahmed really wasn't that good. Second lowest percentage in the league, 10 of 13, 76.9% there. Interestingly enough, San Antonio actually is the worst kicker in the league. Ryan Santoso, just 75%, 12 out of 15. Or not 12 out of 15, 12 out of 16. The Brahmas, they made a noteworthy signing wide receiver Cade Warner, Kurt's son, getting another opportunity in spring football, former Kansas State Wildcat. And we have clinching scenarios. Now, we already know the playoffs are set, but we still don't know who the number 1 seed is in each one. And the USFL conference, it really doesn't matter, like I said before, because Ford Field has a scheduling conflict that they can't host the conference championship, even if the Panthers were to get the number 1 seed, which is very difficult for them to get the number 1 seed. For the Stallions to get the number 1 seed, they got to win, which is the easiest path. They can still lose, and it's pretty easy to lose. They can lose by 21 or less. Like they can still lose by that amount, and still get the number 1 seed based off the tiebreakers. The Panthers' only way that will for sure get them the number 1 seed is to win by 23 or more. I do not think is going to happen. So if they win exactly by 22, then we'd have to go to more tiebreakers. So we don't know who would get it.
That's what we want.
We don't know who would get it at that point, but I'm assuming the Stallions would because they probably lead in most categories. The number 1 seed in the XFL conference also up for grabs, and it's much more simple calculation there. Win and in. It's for both sides. If you win, you host the XFL conference championship game. So it's easy scenario there. Each team knows what they got to do, and it's win the game. NFL news, the NFLPA is putting together a proposal to eliminate voluntary OTAs, that's organized team activities, an increased training camp ramp-up period. So that would mean that they would start training camp in like mid-June, early July. And it would eliminate essentially the vacation period that a lot of people like right now, especially the people on the coaching and personnel side. Once you hit June, like you're off for most of those people. You know, you have the coaches that have to come in to coach up on the rookie mini camps but that's in May, and then you have OTAs a little bit in May as well. But yeah, I don't know. not in that space yet, so not exactly sure how that vacation is, but I kind of like it how it is right now, just knowing what the industry is and how the scouting works calendar-wise, but I don't know. We'll see. And congrats to former Saints quarterback Drew Brees. He is going to be inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame this season sometime. Don't know the date yet of what game he's going to be inducted at, but yeah, easily warranted. They had a really cool graphic on the Saints social media of all his stats and accomplishments with New Orleans. So if you want to check that out, you can. Yeah, we're just the Bears apparently are going to be the training camp Hard Knocks team this year. That's gonna be that is gonna be some good TV there. Caleb Williams, you got Keenan Allen. He's a good personality. I don't know how much. I don't really know the personality of Roma Dunze, so I can't really speak on that. But I'm sure Montez Sweat has a good personality as well. Trying to think of who else would be good TV there. And well, Tyson Bagent, man, Tyson Bagent's going to be great. I'm excited to watch Tyson Bagent on the training camp Hard Knocks. He's going to be a good one as well. And obviously, we already know that we're getting the Giants off-season Hard Knocks. Not sure when that comes out, but the in-season Hard Knocks is going to be very intriguing. Apparently, it's going to follow all 4 teams of a division. They didn't say which division, but that's going to be fascinating to watch. Hard Knocks for an entire division during the season is going to be crazy. Jimmy, you don't seem like a Hard Knocks guy.
I've never watched Hard Knocks once.
Oh my gosh,
Jimmy. Not once.
It's fantastic. You got to watch it. You got to get on that.
Maybe, I guess, but I don't know. I've never had the time or found interest in just watching it. I've seen clips, funny clips of previous years, but it's never been my cup of tea.
I absolutely love it. It is fantastic. And yeah, we're not going to talk about the Washington Post that they posted on Twitter. Injuries. We have, I believe this is the first major injury of the 2024 season, right? I don't think we've had any other ones through OTAs yet.
Nothing yet, really.
Or just regular training on your own. The Saints have lost edge rusher Tano Passanio. He tore his Achilles. He's not out for the season, though. Luckily for him, he did tear it now. So I think it would be tough. I might rule him out for the season. Maybe he can get back for a couple games, and if the Saints make the playoffs, possibly. But I know an ACL is 9 months. Achilles, I can't remember what that one. I think that's 6 to 8 potentially, depending on when you have surgery, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, he would probably be looking at best case scenario. I mean, unless I don't think he's like going to be like the superhuman like Saquon or like any of those other guys that have come back like crazily early. So I think his best case scenario would be like maybe week 15. Like that's 15, 16, potentially he gets back for the last quarter of the season. But obviously, we're going to be talking about the Saints today with their draft recap. And I don't think this is going to hurt them terribly. Their pass rush wasn't the greatest to begin with, out on the DN side, anyways. So yeah, I mean they're gonna ask some younger guys to step up for sure in that rotation. Luckily, they signed Chase Young, and they have Carl Granderson as well, who had a monster season last year. Obviously, the perennial Cam Jordan, and then get first and second round picks in Peyton Turner and Isaiah Foskey there. So Foskey is more the guy that I'm looking forward to see stepping up. He's going in year 2. I don't know. I feel like they've kind of given up on Peyton Turner, former first round pick, but all the way in 2021. So, he's going into year 4. It hasn't been great for Peyton Turner. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. Anyways, let's talk money.
Oh, you're finally paying me? Thank you.
Yeah. I'm paying you in compliments.
Oh, thanks.
Anyways, some guys got paid, specifically the wide receivers. Not the one that you want to get paid, though, Jimmy.
Not yet.
With the price tag's going up. The Dolphins, they signed wide receiver Jalen Waddle to a 3-year, $84.75 million extension, $76 million guaranteed. Yeah, I mean that's well worth it. Him and Tyreek are arguably the best wide receiver duo in the league. Definitely, probably the fastest. But I mean, Jalen Waddle has been fantastic since being a first-round pick a couple of years ago. 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, 3,000, I think, over 3,300 yards combined in his 3 years, and 36 receptions, or 300. I think it's like 300 receptions or something like that. So yeah, he's been well worth it, and I think the Dolphins kind of lost a little bit when he went down. Obviously, then Tyreek went down as well. But if they can keep those guys healthy, I think it's a good deal. It's a good deal for both sides. The Texans, they paid their star wide receiver as well. Wide receiver Nico Collins getting a 3-year, $72.75 million deal. $52 million guaranteed. So yeah, that one's interesting. They have all these guys now in Houston, and it's like, all right, well, who's gonna get the ball? Like, I don't know, but Nico has exceeded the expectations that he was drafted with, and I was happy I called his breakout season 2 years ago. Well, I called it 2 years ago. Really, he broke out last year. But he did really have a good season a couple years ago as well. But, yeah, C.J. Stroud loves him, and they're going to keep rolling there in Houston with that offense. And then your guy.
My X factor.
49ers wide receiver Jawan Jennings getting signed to a 2-year, $15.4 million deal, $10.5 million guaranteed there. This replaces his restricted free agent tender, which he did not sign. That's why he was not at OTAs. Showed up to OTAs after signing this deal, though. I don't remember what his RFA tender money-wise was for, but I think it was a lot less than 15 over 2. So gets a nice raise and is essentially a 1-year extension because he was already signed technically on the RFA tender. But yeah, Jennings staying in for 2 more years in San Fran, and it's not the first 49ers wide receiver we thought might get paid, but Jawan gets it done. And a couple of free agent signings here. The Jets, they signed Panthers running back Tariq Cohen on a 1-year deal. So Cohen now attempting his comeback with the Jets. That could be interesting. I think listening to what Robert Saleh had to say about Tariq Cohen, I think if he's healthy, I mean, he's going to have a shot at the returner position. Because that's what Saleh, when he was asked about the Cohen signing, he's like, yeah, like with the new kick return rules, the returner becomes a big position. So hopefully, and I do say genuinely, hopefully that Cohen can get back and play well. Was a really solid player for the Bears until he had that massive knee injury, and hasn't been the same. Hasn't been in a game since 2020. So your Vikings, they re-signed guard Dalton Reisner on a 1-year deal.
I like it. I'm a big fan of Reisner. I thought he was a good impact lineman when he was signed. His pass game needs work, but I really appreciated what he did in the run game, and I think also with the absence of Bradbury, I think getting more interior offensive line depth is great, and I think Reisner, with the experience he has in this, with this team, it's hard not to like it.
Yeah, definitely got to get that run game going there.
Yeah,
for JJ's sake. The Chargers also signing a guard, Bears guard Alex Leatherwood. So an experienced starter to help Jim Harbaugh there in his first year as a depth piece. Has started 17 out of 23 games, I believe, the last couple of years with the Raiders and the Bears. All right, not seeing anything else on the feed. So let's head to the UFL pick standings. It's not going great. It is not great.
It's going great for someone. And that someone is me.
Yeah, I lost on some lone wolves again last week. You and Alec going 3-1 there. I lost on the only lone wolf of the week. The undefeated team lost. That was the only lone wolf. I lone wolfed the Stallions and did not win.
I picked Stallions at first, but I was like, they got to lose eventually. And that's why I picked them.
They did not have to lose eventually. But it's okay. I bet on the Brahmas anyway, so it's fine. I wish money line. I wish I would have bet money line. That would have been a lot better payout. But I was skeptical, so I took the 8.5. Anyways, you're pretty dang close to clinching, Jimmy. You're up 3. There are 7 games left. 4 this week, 2 playoffs, and the championship. So you're getting there. Maybe after this week you might clinch. Who knows?
Don't know. Can't say anything for certain.
I might be out of it. 4 back. That's tough. That's tough with 7 to go. We're talking NHL numbers now. It's like, oh man, I gotta get points. But yeah, I might have to be perfect to even have a chance. We'll see. But that's why I'm taking some chances. So not here though. Not on this one. The first game tomorrow, or Saturday. It's not Friday yet. Saturday, the Panthers at the Stallions. We are all on Birmingham track here, and for good reason. I mean, I do think this is going to be a great game. I'm taking Panthers +8. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't. We just saw, even though that was in San Antonio, we just saw the Stallions coming off their first loss. And when you look at the Panthers, they are right up there with Birmingham in terms of defense. Now they allow 1.1 more points per game, but they have They're right there. They're 3 sacks behind the Stallions. They allow, about 15 more yards per game, and they don't have as many turnovers. But I like it. I think it's a good shot. That's a lot of points between these two playoff teams. The interesting thing is going to be, all right, do you rest people? Because Michigan, I believe, did rest some people last week, and they still won. Birmingham, on the other hand, I don't know. To my knowledge, they're not banged up anywhere of note, anyways. So I don't know if they really need to rest anyone, especially because this game really doesn't matter. It really doesn't, because it's like, all right, well, even if the Panthers would win by 23 or more, the game's still going to be in Birmingham. It's just that the Panthers are going to have the home locker rooms and the Stallions are going to be in the away locker rooms. So I think Panthers +8 is a good bet. But I like the Stallions to win the game because it is at home.
Yeah, me too.
The total on this one is 43.5, and that's tough. That is tough. I am torn because they're two of the top 3 best defenses in the league, but the Stallions offense, we know, can rock. So I don't know. I'm staying away from that one. My initial gut thinking was lean on the under 43.5 is where I'm leaning. Definitely not playing it though. 2 p.m. on ESPN. This is the game. This is the game of the weekend, and I'm very excited about this one. The Brahmas at the Battlehawks. 2.5 for St. Louis. And it does scare me. It does scare me. I am lone wolf. I'm Lloyd Wade Phillip. We're good friends, me and Wade.
Go way back.
Yeah. But what I just witnessed last week with San Antonio and this defense, man, I'm excited. I think, especially if Manny Wilkins is the starter for St. Louis, which we don't know yet. We won't get depth charts until tomorrow for this game. But if Manny Wilkins is a starter, I'm very confident in the San Antonio defense. If it's A.J. McCarron, I'm less confident, but I still think they can get it done. Quentin Dormady played out of his mind last week against Birmingham. They had the run game going. They sat John Lovett last week to rest him for the playoffs. So I expect John Lovett to be back in this one. Him and McFarland combined are excellent. Now they lost Cody Latimer, but Jontre Kirkland's going to step up, I think. And Alize Mack, that's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, man, they lost Cody Latimer. But the thing is that people forget Alize Mack is not a bad tight end either. So I'm excited to watch Alize Mack step into that TE1 role. And this Brahmas defense, like I said, is really why I'm going with San Antonio. But it does scare me because I have seen a ton of people on Brahmas +2.5. So that's the only thing that scares me, is that there's a lot of people on my side. 42.5 is the total on this one. And I hate that number just like I hated the Stallions number. I'm leaning on the under because of that Brahmas defense. So, yeah, under. 4 p.m. on Fox. I don't like that the UFL did that, though. I do not like that these two games are going to be going on at the same time. They're going to overlap a little bit at the end. On Sunday, we have the Renegades at the Defenders. And, of course, Alec is back on his bullshit. And one more time. Alex hitting the one time on the Renegades. But the thing is, I think he only – I know he didn't pick the Renegades. You picked the Renegades when they won their second game. I think he did pick the Renegades on the first win. But he didn't pick them on the second win. But of course, I'm picking my DC Defenders, and then you were the deciding vote, Jimmy. So you're on my train there.
Yes, sir.
We got a lot to play for in DC. We got to get to 500. That has been the goal ever since they got eliminated. Coach Barlow has said we're trying to get to 5, meaning 500 and 5-5. So I like this DC team to get to 500. I like the -3. I think that's very doable. It's a low enough number. I think you can hit that. And the total here is 46.5. And I like the over, man. I mean, you saw DC what they did last week against Memphis. They demolished Memphis. Scored 36. They were up 30-7 early in the second half. And Arlington has one of the worst defenses in the league. Them and DC. I mean, they're both in the bottom half of the league, but Arlington gives up 24.1 points per game. DC gives up 23.4. And Arlington has only allowed less than 20 points one time this year. DC has done it 3 times. So I think this Arlington defense is going to get blitzed by DC just like Memphis did last week. And Jordan Ta'amu goes out on a good note. 12 p.m. on ABC on Sunday. End of the final game. You are lone wolfing the toilet bowl, sir.
Woo!
Roughnecks at the Showboats. And, yeah, of course I'm going to pick my Showboats. We need the number 1 pick, man. I don't want to get Houston the number 1 pick. So that's the only reason. Like, this game matters. Like I said earlier, does very much matter. Number 1 pick on the line in Memphis. And I'm kind of surprised the Roughnecks are getting our favorites going into Memphis, but at the same time, I'm not. Memphis does have the worst defense in the league. It has not gone very good, but I'm hoping that Josh Love can be the guy and lead Memphis to that number 1 pick where they're going to draft his replacement. So more than likely anyways. I don't know. Last year, though, the UFL draft this past year, the number 1 pick was a tackle. So the Michigan Panthers drafted a tackle. So anyways, yeah, I like Memphis. So does Alec. 44.5 on this one. Hammer the over. It's gonna soar in this one. 7 p.m. on Fox. Prime time, dude. It's like Pac-12 after dark. It's like score points. Why not? RIP Pac-12. Hey, man, I'm excited for the Pac-2 after dark. I don't know about you.
It'll be great.
It's going to be electric.
2 teams going at each other for like 10 weeks in a row.
Yeah. It's just Washington State versus Oregon State every single weekend.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about the Saints and the Colts here. We're going to go New Orleans first. So, first round, number 14 overall, tackle Talise Fuaga from Oregon State. Second round, 41st, corner Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama. 5th round, they had 3 picks, 150, quarterback Spencer Rattler from South Carolina. 170, wide receiver Bub Means from Pitt. 175, linebacker Jalen Ford from Texas. 6th round, the Mr. Brady pick, Tom Brady, 199. Defensive tackle Christian Boyd, Northern Iowa. And 7th round, 239, tackle Josiah Ezerum from Eastern Kentucky, the Colonels, in case you did not know. So, yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoyed the Saints' first 2 days. Fuaga and McKinstry, I thought, are home run picks. Day 3 got a little iffy for me. I did not like the Spencer Rattler pick for this team. And I understand. It's just you're spending a day 3 pick. on what you hope is going to be possibly a guy that can be the guy in the future whenever Derek Carr is done. But they just drafted Jake Hayner in the 4th round last year. And I understand Rattler is probably better than Hayner. That's going to be the battle for the QB2 position this offseason. But I don't like it because you already drafted a guy the previous year a round earlier than you did Rattler. So I wasn't a big fan of that one. Bub Means, he's going to have a good opportunity, but I was not that big of a fan, or I didn't really know a lot about Bub Means. I thought there were plenty of other receivers they could have went after. I mean, the Eagles drafted Johnny Wilson well after Bub Means. So that would have been a guy that probably would have been a better selection. Love Jalen Ford. I think he's a pretty solid linebacker. They needed some off-ball depth. And then Christian Boyd's a solid pick. I know a lot of people liked him earlier than 199 there. And Josiah Aziram, I was very shocked he went all the way down to the 7th round. He's a good developmental tackle. So yeah, I mean, overall, I was pretty good with the Saints. Like I said, the first 2 days, excellent. Day 3 got a little iffy for me though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Fulaga. I mean, I feel like for the most part, we kind of had Fulaga as up there with like Joe Alt in terms of like where we had offensive linemen ranked. I mean, we had a good amount of mock drafts. I think we had him going to where was it? Tennessee at times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, so getting him at 14, I think is very good. I like Fulaga a lot. Kool-Aid McKinstry, I thought was a very good pick. I mean, I've seen him, mocked as early as, mid-20s, so getting him at 41. Kind of have the same feeling with Fulaga and Kool-Aid. Just very good talent for good value. Spencer Rattler, I don't mind it. I think it's an okay pick for this team. A former top flight QB in college who kind of fell off the deep end. It seems he definitely has a lot of personality issues. A lot of teams are kind of turned off by how he acted in interviews and how he acted in media. So that probably didn't help. But hopefully, probably what New Orleans is thinking is that they can wrangle him in, kind of put that behind him, and making him efficient backup QB. Bub Means kind of in your boat. I was like, I kind of had that feeling of if you wanted to get a wide receiver at that selection, there were other picks I thought would have been better, but maybe it's either a scheme fit or maybe outside of just the positional value. Maybe there's something special teams wise with him. I have no idea. Jalen Ford, I didn't really think much of it. I liked Boyd. I remember Boyd being mocked a lot higher, and New Orleans definitely needs that defensive line depth, in my opinion, a lot more than many people probably realize. And then Aziram, I thought was a pretty good pick. It's one of those things I don't mind. I don't think any team that doubles up on offensive line draft picks in a draft is ever in the wrong. That's a position where you just need the depth, and I like that pick at the 7th.
Yeah, the Saints, there was only one position that I was left with on my needs, and that was edge. I thought they should have gotten edge just because they really did not. Peyton Turner really has not worked out, and I think that was before they signed Passanio, but obviously the Passanio signing doesn't really matter anymore because he's out for the majority of the year. So they're really going to be dependent on like the guys that I said earlier, Chase Young, Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, who is on the older side, and Isaiah Foskey and Peyton Turner. So I thought they should have maybe threw a flyer on another edge guy, maybe with one of those first 2 5th-rounders there. But yeah, I like the double tackle. Everyone knew the Saints were going to draft tackle in the first round. I wouldn't have faulted them for drafting a tackle in the first 2 rounds. But yeah, Kool-Aid. I don't think a lot of people realize how dire this Saints corner room is. Which was interesting that Marshawn Lattimore was like rumored to get traded because I don't think they could afford to trade Marshawn Lattimore. Like they have a Debo, they have Lattimore, and they have Alontae Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Kool-Aid. Like he's by far the next best guy in that corner room. And they have a lot of other random dudes. Otherwise, so that was a big selection there. Hopefully, the reason he dropped to 41 was because of his 40 time. He ran slow. I believe he ran a 4.6 or something like that. So it was not great time in Indy, but a lot of other people did like his play speed on tape. So hopefully that's the case there. All right, on to Indianapolis. First round, number 15, edge rusher Laiatu Latu from UCLA. Second round, 52, wide receiver Adonai Mitchell, Texas. Third round, 79, offensive tackle Matt Goncalves from Pitt. Fourth round, 117, center Tanner Bortolini, Wisconsin. Fifth round, they had 3 picks, just like the Saints. 142, wide receiver Anthony Gold, Oregon State. 151, safety Jalen Carlisle from Missouri. And 164, safety Jalen Simpson from Auburn. 6th round, 201, corner Micah Abraham from Marshall. And 7th round, 234, defense tackle Jonah Laulu from Oklahoma. Take it away, Jimmy.
All right. Well, kind of similar to what I felt about with the Saints. I mean, I really like those first 2 picks. I really like Latu. I think as a Viking fan, I love getting Dallas Turner. I think Dallas Turner right now is the higher projectable guy. But I think Latu, with his intangibles and the very high ceiling, I think he's great at 15. Adonai Mitchell, I was just shocked that he went all the way to 52. And with, I forget the general manager of the Colts.
Chris
Ballard. They were interviewing him about Adonai Mitchell, and he, basically he went to bat for Adonai and the allegations of what's the word? Character issues and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool by Ballard to come out and defend his, new drafted rookie.
Yeah, it was the effort. The effort was the question mark on him, I think.
Yeah, and I thought that was just super cool to come out and defend a player like that. And I've always been high on Mitchell. I thought he was gonna be something. I thought at worst he would be available to the Panthers at 33. That's how high I had Adonai. So 52 is pretty surprising. I like the offensive tackle out of Pitt. But after that, I get a little confused. I like Bortoloni, but getting another wide receiver and then going back-to-back safeties and then another defensive back. I know this team had a lot of defensive backfield question marks that needed to be answered, but I always find it strange when you double up on a pick, especially 13 picks apart. I mean, I like these guys. I like Simpson. I like Carlisle. Did I say his name right?
Carlisle. Yeah.
Carlisle. That's right. I always get it wrong. But yeah, I mean, I like both of them. But it's just, is it like a free safety, strong safety thing? I'm not sure. And then Abramson, I'm cool with. And then another tough name at the bottom that I'm not going to try. Jonah at the bottom there.
Laulu.
I always like. I like that pick a little bit. I'm kind of as I mentioned earlier with offensive tackle with the Saints, I'm going the same way with defensive tackle. You can never have too much depth in the trenches. So getting more defensive tackles and offensive linemen, never a bad thing. But yeah, I mean, I like the Colts first half, a little confused on the second half is probably the best way to put it. They had a lot of picks. So I mean, they didn't really have to worry too much, I guess, but doubling up was a little interesting.
Yeah, 9 picks. That's definitely gonna impact my grade, the amount of selections. But kind of like I was a little higher. I love the first 5 picks. I absolutely love it. Latu, they needed edge rush. Kwity Paye has been so after being a first round pick in 2021. They signed Samson Ebukam. They drafted Deo Odeingbo in the second round in 21 as well. And Tyquan Lewis is a former second rounder from 18. They have Titus Leo is sixth rounder in 23. They signed Jannard Avery as well. So I really like it. I think Latu's probably going to end up being the number one outside pass rusher on this team. Just talent wise, I think he's definitely the best guy there. Obviously, has to overcome the medicals. That is why everyone was talking about him leading up to it, and whether it was him or Dallas Turner as number one edge rush. But I like it. Adonai AD Mitchell, excellent. I mean, he's going to be a home run threat for Anthony Richardson. He's big, physical, and again, provide that deep threat that they really didn't have on their roster. The deep threat that they thought Alec Pierce was going to be, but he's had injury issues after being a second round pick a couple years ago as well. So now they have 2 guys that can kind of do that same thing, but 80's bigger and he's faster than Alec Pierce was. Macancavas, love it. They needed tackle depth, and also they need some insurance. If Bernard Ryman really isn't the guy at left, third round pick in 23 or in 22, has been okay, but I haven't seen anything that has shown me that he's special at left. So Goncalves is a guy that can probably bring some competition there. Dude, Bordolini is my guy. I loved Tanner Bordolini. When I saw his movement at the combine, oh my goodness, I was like, bro, Steelers, please. Now they got a good guy in their own right. I'll say that. But I was hoping if the Steelers didn't get him, or if the Steelers wouldn't have got a center, they were looking toward Bordolini on day 3 or even later on day 2. Eagles, I also was interested for potential Jason Kelce replacement if they were keeping Cam Jurgens at guard. But and Anthony Gold's more than just a receiver. He's a return man. They're looking toward that new kickoff rule as well. Anthony Gold's going to be a guy that can come in, give you punt and kick return opportunities there. So I really like that as well. I will rationalize the safety picks for you, Jimmy. They're not playing safety, neither one of them.
Oh, okay.
Jalen Carlisle, I know for sure, is transitioning to linebacker. He was more of a box safety for Mizzou. He's definitely going to play off-ball linebacker in a hybrid role. I was surprised, Jalen Simpson, that they don't have him at safety because I thought they needed help at safety. But they needed help at corner as well. And that's where they have him. They have him backing up Juju Brents as one of the outside corners. I think he can play both. I think he can play anywhere in the secondary. I love Jalen Simpson. He's a ball hawk at Auburn. I think he had like 7 interceptions just like last year or something like that. He had a really good career in terms of ball production at Auburn. So I like that pick a lot. That's my favorite day 3 pick for them. Or actually, I should say, it's my favorite day 3 pick outside of Bordolini. And then, yeah, Abraham and Laulu don't really swing. Laulu doesn't have a chance. He doesn't have a chance to make this roster unless the injuries occur. They're pretty stacked at D-tackle with Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner. They signed Raekwon Davis from Miami. They have Eric Johnson, Taven Bryan, who they signed from Cleveland, and they have Adetomiwa Adebawore that they just drafted in the 4th round last year. So I don't think there's any chance that Laulu makes this roster. He's going to be a practice squad guy. Probably his best chance might be on another team. But yeah, it's grade time, and I know my mentee Logan is really intrigued to see what we grade his Colts team. But we're gonna go to the Saints first, and the Saints, I'm gonna give a B. I think it's solid. The first 2 picks are heavily weighted in that grade. Some of the day 3 ones we'll have to see.
Good old Saints. I'm kind of with you. I like their first 2 picks a lot. Rest of the draft them, anything from okay to meh. I'll give them a B-.
All right. And what are you giving the Colts here?
Colts, I'm actually going to give a B+. I thought, kind of like you, I thought their first 4 picks I really liked. I'm not a huge fan of Gold. I thought, I'm kind of disagreeing with you there. I thought doubling up on wide receiver here, even if you really like Gold, I thought it was interesting, but nah. I think, the back half of the draft was pretty all right. But with 9 picks, it's hard to really mess it up. And they got what they needed. They needed a guy like Latu. They needed a target for Richardson. They needed to beef up that offensive line. They needed to get defensive depth, and I think they did it really well. No slam dunks, not a lot of home runs, but a lot of solid doubles, good singles out there. Good rally for them, I would say. So B+.
Yeah, I'll go on B+ as well. I really enjoyed this draft. And the Colts actually ended up hitting all of my needs for them with Carlisle's transitioning to linebacker and Bortolini being a guard. He can play all 3, but really they have him. They had a need at backup guard, so that's where he's going to play. But I think he's going to be the main interior backup guy for all 3 positions. And I really think Bortolini could be the steal of this draft class for them because, Ryan Kelly's not getting any younger. And I think Bortolini could possibly be the future at center in Indianapolis for the Colts there. So, yeah, I like B+. I can see it going higher, though, with some of these picks if they can hit on them. All right. That is the show for today, y'all. We'll be back next Friday. I think I will be able to do a show. We'll see what the vacation plans are. But we'll have all your UFL game previews because it will be the UFL playoffs, guys. It will be the UFL playoffs. I'm super excited to watch these teams play 2 weeks in a row against each other. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be one of those things where you're not going to show all your stuff this week because you want to save some trick plays and stuff. Especially, I know the Brahmas, they love their trick plays. That double pass to Jontre Kirkland, he's thrown 3 passes this year already. So wouldn't be surprised if they throw that out in the playoffs if they're trailing. And then we'll continue on Monday with the Bengals and Seahawks draft recaps. And then next Friday, we'll do the Rams and the Steelers. Thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast, Instagram and X, FAA_bets as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, etc. And thank you for all the downloads. I don't know who's been downloading our show, but we got over 2,500 downloads overall. And then just in the last week, we're getting closer to 250 on the week. So it's been a pretty good week in downloads, and I appreciate all the support and appreciate you, Jimmy, and everyone else that has come on and been a part of this show, whether as co-hosts in the past or guests. Appreciate y'all. Couldn't do it without you. So thanks, guys, and we will see y'all back on Monday.